Teague.
And I'm Sam.
And we are your well-informed girlfriends.
Bringing you today's news, gossip, and unsolicited hot takes.
This week, we are talking about the new potential tariffs on Hollywood, AI apparently wanting to be your new best friend, and apparently your shampoo could be giving you cancer.
Casual. Love it. We've also got fake friends, fake fitness advice, and a real American Pope. Let's get into it.
Yes. Oh, and before we forget, if you could like and subscribe, that would really help out our channel, and we would love you forever. Okay, our first story is all about Trump's new tariffs hitting Hollywood. So, a day after President Trump stunned Hollywood by calling a 100% tariff on films produced outside of the U.S., Governor Gavin Newsom said that he wanted to team up with the Trump administration to craft a $7.5 billion federal tax film credit to aid the entertainment industry. Very interesting. Take a listen to what Trump said this week outside of a helicopter. That sounds a little bit weird, but take a listen.
The movie tariffs, what they've done is other nations have been stealing the movie-making capabilities from the United States. And I said to a couple of people, what do you think? I've done some very strong research over the last week, and we're making very few movies now. Hollywood is being destroyed. Now, you have an incompetent, grossly incompetent governor that allowed that to happen. So I'm not just blaming other nations, but other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry. And I'm saying, if they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States, then we should have a tariff when movies should come in. And not only that, governments are actually giving big money. I mean, they're supporting them financially. So that's sort of a threat to our country in a sense. And it's been a very popular thing. I can tell you, what movie makers love it.
That all being said,
Yeah.
let's talk about kind of like a high-level explanation of what's happening here in town and domestically, because I don't know that everybody's like familiar with, I don't want to say crisis, but it's a little bit of a crisis.
It's a crisis.
So like, here's the deal for those of you following along at home. Budgets for film and TV are just getting much tighter. The general consensus is sort of that peak streaming era has come to a close, where like Netflix and company were just like throwing money at the wall on anything and everything.
Yeah.
Basically, many other U.S. states, so not California, which is famously known for Hollywood, places like Georgia are offering incentives to get domestic productions to move to their state. So more movies are filmed in Atlanta today than Los Angeles, for example.
And a lot of that is because of Tyler Perry.
A lot of that is because of Tyler Perry, but it's also because of like the specific tax incentives that states will offer for people. So if you are, say, for example, making a movie about Hollywood, it might be cheaper to shoot a lot of that on a soundstage in Atlanta than it would be to film it on a soundstage in Los Angeles.
Right.
So, and at a national level, that's also the same thing is sort of happening. So the United States, labor is expensive. When you have employees here that are mostly union, you have to pay for their health and stuff and into their pensions as if you're a domestic production. But countries, other countries that are not the US, are offering tax incentives to get productions moved there. So like, and this has always happened, you know, Suits was famously filmed in Vancouver, even though it's about New York.
Yeah.
But like, this is happening more and more to other, even more affordable, quote unquote, countries like Hungary, where they do have like nationalized healthcare. So they're not paying into that. And the labor is, of course, cheaper than in the United States.
Yeah.
So I read an article in the Times that said there are more films produced in Budapest this nowadays, and there are more celebrities just sitting in the Four Seasons of Budapest, of all places. And so that's kind of what's happening on a global level, but also specifically to California. So we're seeing a lot of that like middle class of production, the people who build the sets or the stylists or what have you, the people who work in costuming. A lot of those jobs are kind of going away. And so Hollywood, specifically LA, has seen like a dearth of those middle class jobs.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I have, before I had the job that I do now, I worked in physical production for Amazon Studios, and a lot of our shows were shot overseas. So we went to Prague, and it was just cheaper to shoot there, frankly. Yeah. Which seems kind of shocking. I was always like, really? Because you're putting people up in hotels, you're traveling people, but it was because a lot of those places don't have like really strict unions. You can get cheaper labor and stuff like that. So I do think like if we can get more productions over to the US and specifically in California, first of all, that would be great for California and for US productions. But I think like the confusing thing about this, putting a tariff, quote unquote, on productions. It's really difficult. Like, how is that going to be implemented? Like, there's things that are being shot right now overseas. And if you work in production or you know anything about, you know, getting a movie made or a TV show made, these things happen in parts, right? Like editing could happen here and other parts of the movie could be made somewhere else. And so it's like really like, it is a little bit difficult to feel like it makes sense where that tariff, quote unquote, will be applied.
Right.
Like, when does that get applied? Like, at the movies or when they're selling? Or
is it on every part of the movie? Like the camera you bought that was made in China, and then like also the film that was filmed in Italy or whatever. Right. And it's all a question. I think they don't necessarily know. This is something still in the ideation phase, so to speak. But if the federal film tax credit that Newsom is proposing would go through, that would at least incentivize production companies to stay in the U.S.
Yeah, which ultimately would be great. So, I mean, we'll see. I think there's obviously a lot of questions and hurdles to get there, but we'll see what happens.
Right.
Okay, very exciting news. We have a new pope, which I love that we have just made like the biggest story this week. Like, as a nation, we were just so excited about this new pope. And I mean, for good reason, because he is the first U.S. American-born pope.
Right. So, like, shout out to Team USA. We've got the Pope. Shout out to Chicago. Team and I are both from the suburbs. And, like, we love to represent the suburbanites of Chicago.
Yes. So his name is Robert Prevost. He was born in Chicago. And he is a White Sox fan. Did you ever think we would say that the Pope was a White Sox fan?
No, honestly, I'll bet you this pope has eaten so many more hot dogs than any other previous pope. Like, just think about it.
Deep dish pizzas.
Oh my, that is our celebration pizza. So maybe they're having that as part of their dinner this evening in honor of the new pope.
I just think it's so funny. Like, we as a country came together and put the funniest memes together this week.
Yes. Out, my lord, in, my lord. Like,
oh my gosh.
Huge fan. It's honestly so rare to be chronically online and have it be just like an absolute joy. In fact, it's normally a national nightmare. And so in this particular week, I was just like, wow, I'm not even Catholic. I'm just having a great time.
Yeah, no, it was very fun to watch people come together and celebrate this news. We found a clip from Robert Prevost, the now Pope, Leo. In 2023, here is him talking about the state of the Catholic Church in 2023.
And on that level, I think Pope Francis made it very clear that he doesn't want people to be excluded simply on the basis of choices that they make, whether it be lifestyle, work, way to dress, or whatever. Doctrine hasn't changed, and people haven't said yet, we're looking for that kind of change. But we are looking to be more welcoming and more open, and to say all people are welcome in the church.
So it's like good to hear. I mean, obviously the Catholic Church is more conservative than a lot of American groups. But that being said, it's good to hear that he is interested in allowing other people to still participate. And we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But he seems to be like down.
Yeah. And I will say I read on several outlets reported that Pope Leo was actually one of the former popes sort of like trainees and mentees. So I think a lot of people are sort of figuring it will be a similar papal leadership. I don't know what the word is, but it will similarly be as progressive as his predecessor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that'll be interesting.
Love it.
Okay, speaking of maybe not the most progressive things, President Trump is looking for other places to take the U.S. deportees. Mm-hmm. Trump officials reportedly asked Ukraine to take people. Yes, that is the same. Ukraine famously at war with Russia right now. Mm-hmm. They've also looked into Libya and Rwanda.
And Libya, isn't it a stage 4 like travel advisory? So we're not even supposed to really travel there because it's so dangerous?
Yes.
Okay.
Take a listen to what CBS is reporting.
The Trump administration may begin deporting migrants to Libya as soon as this week. CBS News has learned from 2 U.S. officials that these deportations would be operated by the U.S. military. Libya is one of the roughly 24 countries the State Department warns Americans not to visit and has a level 4 travel advisory. The advisory says not to travel there due to crime, terrorism, unexploded landmines, civil unrest, kidnapping, and armed conflict.
So the deportations to Libya could start as early as this week, according to various media outlets.
Okay.
A U.S. district judge ruled last Wednesday if those reports happen, the Trumpian plan, quote, blatantly defies their court order, which required immigrants be granted a written notice of their deportation and a meaningful opportunity to appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And Libya specifically has a long record of human rights abuses in its immigrant detention centers and also exploitation of migrants by human traffickers. So
would this be also without due process?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I am not a legal expert, but yes, I think.
And where? I'm sorry, I'm asking these questions.
No, ask away. It's wild.
So are they? It feels very scary. Is this just like across the board? This could happen to anybody who is here illegally.
Yes, or it could happen to people who are here on some sort of like green card. They've already deported certain people who are U.S. citizens whose parents are not.
Okay.
I did read that the people who have lawyers appealing the Libyan decision specifically seem to be like a lot of Southeast Asians.
Okay.
Like Filipino, Laos. I don't know why that is specific, but that's just what was mentioned in the articles that I've read about this.
That's so scary. And could you imagine you end up in Libya and you're like, wait, where am I? And how do I get out of here? And this is scary. And oh my gosh.
Or in like a detention center, like a forever prison, which is sort of similar to what's happening in El Salvador. And with no way to like no recourse to come back.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's that's terrifying and very unsettling. And to not Trump's credit, but I should mention that Libya said last week that they don't have any plans with the Trump administration, but Libya is in a state. Yeah, there are multiple like warring parties in Libya, but there's like a recognized government, and the recognized government said they don't have a plan for this, but like who knows? You know what I mean? Like they could be lying. So
right.
Who's to say?
That is interesting. I mean, it's definitely scary. I mean, maybe it's just being used as like a tool to motivate people to. Well, this brings us to our next point, that the Trump administration is now allegedly offering $1,000 for people who elect to self-deport. So go back to the country that they were from the U.S. Allegedly, the Trump administration is offering them $1,000 to self-deport and then give them the option of coming back at some point. Now, this hasn't been confirmed that that's exactly what happens, that if people would go, that they would get paid and they would be given the opportunity to actually come back. But that is something that they are putting on the table. And the Trump administration allegedly said that one person has already done this. So I don't know where that person went, but allegedly one person has elected to self-deport.
One person?
Yeah, that's what they said. Last time I checked.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I just I can't imagine that they would actually let you back in. Like,
well, that's I think the fear. I think the fear is that like you self-deport, but then once you're out, will you really be allowed to A, come back in, and B, will you get that money? Because will you get that $1,000 check? Because once you're there,
also, does that even cover the cost of your flight to fly?
Probably not. So that is very interesting. I mean, I think it's a lot of just like, who knows, just like stories to get people to try and either leave or be scared or whatever. I don't know.
You never know. I will say, I was speaking a couple months ago. I was talking to my friend Masumi, whose parents self-deported during World War II. Or no, her grandparents, I'm sorry.
Where'd they go?
And so she's Japanese, and they had been living in California, and they heard that they were going to be rounded up and like put into camps, and they self-deported back to Japan. They just left.
Oh, wow.
And so my friend Masumi's parents like grew up in Japan, and then she immigrated here, which is crazy because that was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And now here we are again. It's just wild.
That is wild, actually.
Anyways, okay.
Wow. Okay,
Speaking
next
of flying.
Speaking of flying.
It's Real ID season.
Real ID season.
Forget Hot Girl Summer. We're talking Real ID Summer.
Yeah.
And if you live in California and got a license in the last, 5 years, you're probably okay.
You probably have a Real ID.
The way to look, specifically in California, it's a little golden bear with a star in the middle.
Yeah.
In the top right corner. But if you are in the U.S., just look for a gold star. A lot of places didn't flex. I guess they don't have as cute of a flag as we do.
Yeah.
But basically, this license means that it meets federal security standards. There are all sorts of more federal security standards these days. And so that started on May 7th.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a Real ID, that means you can't take flights and you can't get into federal buildings. I know that federal buildings probably not a huge target for most of us. But.
Yeah, exactly. So I do think people were kind of freaking out about this because it was like, wait, do I have a real ID? Do I not? A lot of my friends were like, I don't know if I have a real ID.
Yeah.
In California, like we said, if you got a real ID or an ID in the last few years or a license, you probably
you
do.
should be good, yeah.
But it is, I think it was like people were like, wait, can I fly? Can I do this thing? You can still use your passport if you don't have it.
If you don't have a real ID, you can use your passport.
Or your birth certificate. No one has that. I've never seen
If you just like have your birth certificate on hand with you at the airport, you're good.
Yeah.
I have heard some people say TSA is still letting them through, but I wasn't really able to confirm that. Can't confirm or deny, so I don't want to advise you.
Yeah, but if you don't have it, you can check out the DMV website.
Yes.
And that's where you can get that updated real ID. Or you can go into you can go into a DMV.
Yeah, look before you go though, because you need a bunch of paperwork. You need like your birth certificate. You need proof of your social security number, like your a W-2, two proofs of your address. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
And if you live in LA or a highly populated place, look online to see if you can make an appointment at the DMV because that is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but the only real reason you would need it is to fly, right? I mean, why else would you?
Yeah, but like I think.
I mean, a lot of people fly, but I'm just saying.
It's not like a crisis if you don't
It's not
fly.
like, oh my God, I need it right now,
right.
or I need it to be driving. You don't. You just need it when you're going to be getting on a flight.
Exactly, for
so
sure.
Just make sure you have it before you fly.
Right. Critical. Before you're in line and have waited in line for 30 minutes, you'll be real pissed.
Yeah, literally.
Okay,
our next story, a little dystopian. Meta is encouraging us to be best friends with our AI.
Yeah.
So Mark Zuckerberg just introduced this new AI Meta app. So it's Meta AI, and it's basically suggesting that you befriend your virtual assistant. So in a recent interview, Zuckerberg suggested that people befriend their AI, which will help them feel more connected, allegedly, especially, quote, when the personalization loop starts to kick in and AI starts to get to know you better. So AKA when they're fully reading your thoughts. Okay, so this is really interesting. Look, we've talked about AI as a way to connect and like as a tool, but what do you think about making AI your best friend?
I mean, I'm kind of back to Googling things on incognito. I'm a bad example. My AI got to know me too well. It started creeping me out. I would ask it a question and it would say, like, are you working on a story about this? How can I help you find some leads? And I was like, stop coming for my job, ChatGPT. Like, creepy. So I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, look, I have made my ChatGPT my best friend in a way. Like, I've made my ChatGPT be my best friend, girly pop.
She's like hyping you
girly.
up.
Yeah. Anytime I'm like, does this look okay? Does this sound okay? Like, what do you think about this? They're like, girl, it's amazing.
Does it give you real feedback too or no?
Nope. It's not at all critical of me, which honestly is my ideal best friend. Because if anybody's critical of me, it's me. So I don't really need anybody.
Oh no. So AI is replacing me? Because
honestly, you're a supportive best friend too. No, I think that like, again, when we use AI as a tool, it can be helpful for scheduling or for like, breaking things down or like making complex things easier to consume. But I do think there is like that slippery slope a bit.
Yeah. Is it a tool or is it a crutch? And I think that's always the risk of AI. Yeah. That and it running off the rails and taking over everything. But you've seen enough movies to know that that's always a risk. So. But like, do you think that an AI that befriends people is compassion or is it like good branding?
Well, I think it's interesting. Obviously, we also have to talk about the loneliness epidemic in this country, which has been, exploding. And I think that's like because of a lot of things after the pandemic. I think it was highlighted how people are obviously lonelier in this country. And I think if you can use AI as something to make you feel more connected and feel better, I think it's great. But like if we are using it to replace those real relationships and take away that human factor in our lives, I think it gets a little scary because then it's like, what are we just going to marry robots? What are we just going to be best friends with robots? Like, I don't know. Where does it stop?
Yeah. The takeaway here is set up your AI to remind you to call your real best friend.
Right. That's good. And that's using it as a tool.
Yes. Let's talk about our next story, which is a little alarming.
Yeah.
The headline is Cancer in Your Conditioner, ?
Okay, scary.
Basically, this study found that PFAs,
forever chemicals,
forever chemicals, are in lotions, shampoos, eyelash glue, and they're all linked to cancer, specifically like formaldehyde and formaldehyde-releasing preservatives.
Okay, scary.
Those are both known to cause cancer in humans. This study specifically focused on Black and Latino women.
Okay.
And more than half of the study participants regularly used personal care products containing the known carcinogen.
Oh my gosh.
That was 53%. And it was in soap, lotion, shampoo, conditioner, skin lightener, eyeliner, eyelash glue, and other beauty products.
No.
Yeah. And the reason I think especially it pertained to hair relaxant, which like a lot of Black women use for like a silk press or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That is like where a lot of it's coming from, but it was in other products as well. And like nail products, which many of us get our nails done famously.
Yeah, wait, that's crazy.
So yeah, that's alarming for sure.
Here's my question. Like, we do so much to like regulate food and drinks and beverages and FDA. Like, why are we not looking at these products that we're literally putting on our skin, which gets absorbed into our body? Like, it seems weird that we're not regulating that more closely. I'm happy that they're starting the conversation and talking about it and like putting it on the map. And you know we love to talk about plastics.
Yes. Don't forget there's also microplastics in all of the plastic bottles that you use.
And you're breathing it right now.
Yes. Like this is not an all cotton shirt and I am breathing in plastic. This is surely not all cotton. Yeah, it's great.
Right.
So that's definitely a concern. And I don't really know the answer to that. And I want to do a larger piece on this later for this podcast, but basically the way America regulates food and drink is kind of, I mean, I feel like this is editorializing a little, so this is my opinion. This is my unsolicited hot take, but it is kind of messed up.
Yeah.
There's the FDA, there's the USDA, and like basically they're two different entities and they regulate all sorts of different stuff. Like milk is in one and then like Diet Coke is in another. And and they're all being gutted actually right now as we speak. So it's
becoming smaller.
It is definitely an issue. And the way that America regulates its food and beverage production, and also like their healthcare products it is tough. And it is like a huge question that this country will have to answer. And we see that even with like European skincare products and Korean skincare products, a lot of them have like different standards. Like they're not allowed to have benzones and sunblock or what have you. And it's all because of how we regulate stuff. And we have truthfully, we have a very powerful lobby for a lot of these things as well.
Yeah, so that is interesting. And I guess something to just like look out for.
Yeah, I would look this up. If you're interested in trying new products, I would try and look up, do the research. You could ask ChatGPT probably.
No, you definitely could. You could
and
put
they'll
in your
definitely
product and
know.
see what's
right. It's kind of wild.
No, definitely.
Speaking of health and wellness, should we move on?
Let's move on. What's our next story? This is funny. I don't know this trend.
Oh, okay. There is this viral trend saying that you should be able to do 11 full push-ups as a woman.
Mm-mm.
Have you seen this? Can you do 11 full push-ups?
Of course not.
Can you do 11 girl push-ups?
I can do 11 push-ups on my knees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Is it sexist to call them girl push-ups?
Yeah, it is.
My bad. What if I'm a girl, though?
No, I mean, yes. I'm sorry. I wasn't correcting you. I'm just saying that is exactly
You can correct. I need to know. Stay woke,
No, that
everyone.
wasn't me correcting you. That was just me being like, I can do 11 girl
I can
push-ups.
do 11. Yeah, I can do 11 push-ups on my knees. I don't think I could do 11 real push-ups.
No, of
I
course
could maybe
not.
do 10.
I don't think I'm built
I think
for-
I could do 10.
And you know what?
I could do 0 pull-ups for sure.
And here's my thing, like, this says we need to? For what? I'm not going to war.
Dude, I don't know.
Why do I need to do 11 push-ups?
It's because I think it kind of comes back to how Pilates body is in now. Have you seen this too?
Yes.
I think I live on a slightly toxic For You page, if I'm being entirely honest with you, internet.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've looked up too many healthy, easy meals on TikTok. And so now TikTok's like, you could be thin if you just tried harder.
Yeah.
And so I think my TikTok has gotten slightly toxic. So take this with a grain of salt. But this 11 full push-ups has been all over my page.
Okay.
As has Pilates bod, which is basically just like Michelle Obama arms, but like your whole body essentially.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's because you can be thin now with help from medication.
Yeah.
I think now the skinny gatekeeping community respect is like, well, T's skinny is what I mean. She's so hot. But like, I think the skinny community is trying to like figure out a way to be
different. I saw a
hot.
story about that too. Yeah. It was like, skinny is no longer unattainable.
Right.
So now people are like upping it and being like, oh, now you need a Pilates body. Now you need whatever. Yeah. I mean, I guess like, what is a real full push-up, is it this? Because if it's like when
if it's when your arms are like this,
your arms are
I don't know,
at your body. Because if they're out, like
out,
that's
then
easier.
I could probably
do 11
Yeah.
of those. But it's those like
if it's the
military
triceps
looking
part, yeah, I don't know if I can do that.
I don't think I can do that.
I didn't see an analysis of that,
I'm
so
not
I
sure.
can't be honest.
That's
but
very interesting.
if you can do 11 push-ups, let us know in the comments.
Amazing. Again, but it's like for what? Like
but
what am I,
and also
like,
tell us why.
why? And look, if you can give me an argument about why I should be doing that.
Well, like how would you just define strength on your own terms, like physical fitness wise?
Right. Me?
Yeah.
I mean, I think just like being able to like get around and like not ever feel exhausted, like going on a long walk or a run or like
not
breathing
being able to as you're walking
things
uphill.
up and like, yeah, no, I feel like that's like to me the marker of like physical fitness, not like being able to like do a boot camp level workout.
I had to army crawl at like solid core the other day and I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
So life lesson. I also don't know how to army crawl.
That's fair. And again, for what?
And when would I have ever done that prior to that?
Like CrossFit, it's like flipping tires. For what?
Oh my God.
Why?
When are you flipping tires?
Why do I need to know how to do that?
No.
Look, I know the world is weird. Maybe at one point we will be needing to do that, but
during the water wars.
Okay, so our final story of the day is a part of our ongoing series talking about digital detox, kind of in partnership with my social media detox project. So this week I wanted to talk about something that I've been implementing, which is intermittent social media use.
Oh, I love that. Like intermittent fasting.
It's essentially like intermittent fasting, but basically it's just like checking your social media accounts just from certain points in the day. So right now mine's kind of like a little bit of a wide gap, but I will only check my social media accounts from 1 p.m. to like 8 p.m. And when I'm doing that, it's only 5-minute increments. So it's basically just like trying to limit my use and like put rules around that. That's a pretty big window. You can do it smaller. You can do like 2 p.m. to like 5 p.m. and like only 5-minute increments. I think makes a big difference because then you don't feel like you're totally being told to be off social media. You still get your time with it, but it's smaller doses. And so I think it's been really helpful for me. Do you think you could do that?
I actually do that. I have an app called Endel, Endel, and it like plays kind of just like vibey music that's supposed to be patterned with your brain waves for people with ADHD. I don't know if any of that's true. Yeah. I would love to endorse it because I feel like it helps. But most importantly, when it's playing the music and you're in a focused session, it just turns off all of your other apps except for like your phone ringing. Which is fine because like who's calling us? And so and you can have it go for like 2-3 hours if you want, and it's just playing like not like house music, but it's just playing kind of like vibey music without any lyrics, so you're not distracted. And so I actually do that all the time when I'm trying to get into a flow state at work.
Okay, great. So it doesn't allow you to look at social media?
Yeah, and if you try and unlock it, it's like, stay strong, you can do it. And you're like, no, I must look at this Instagram notification. But no, it's like, it's really nice. And there are a bunch of apps that will do that for you. Or you could go old fashioned and just get one of those little like lock boxes and put your phone in it.
That's my favorite thing. That's actually a project that I'm working on for the social media detox.
Really?
I'm calling it the phone home.
Oh my God.
So you like a place to put your phone where it's just out of sight, out of mind. I feel like that I talk a lot about phone proximity, but I feel like that's so powerful.
I'm going to lock my husband's phone in there.
It's the best thing in the world.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. We had such a good time chatting about some heavy stories, but also, shout out to Chicago for bringing us the new Pope.
Shout out to Chicago for bringing us the new Pope. Yeah, I'm so glad
we've got Oprah, Obama, and now the Pope.
Now
Represent.
Represent. Okay, we will talk to you guys next week. If you guys have anything you want to discuss, please put it in the comment section and we'll chat.
Bye.